No one wants to get naked and cast spells in the woods anymore, and it shows. This is the whole, hey, the Bible says horrible things. And so the Bible says horrible things. So the Bible is bad, religion is bad, everything is bad. All right, well, I don't know if you can tell, sir, but I'm an African American. And there was a constitution that was written in this country. And while this constitution presided over this country, people interpreted that constitution to say that, first of all, that I was a slave, that it was okay for me to be owned. I had no rights. I couldn't own anything under the constitution. Then I was what? 3/4 a man, right? Then people like me were 3/4 a man under the constitution. And the constitution itself had to be amended for me to have the rights that you see here, for me to be sitting here doing this. How about with women? Could women vote before 1910 or whenever it was passed? Women aren't human beings. Women don't have the rights that men have. Bro, what are you talking about? That's such a lame and lazy argument. Just because a piece of work has something bad in it or is improperly interpreted or what have you does not mean that you throw the entire thing out. Next guy. This guy is particularly rude. His statement is, well, give yourself a medal. Well, give yourself a medal. This is in response to me saying that 3.7 million people at that time had used this product. So my response to you, sir, you'll know who you are, the gentleman that says, well, give yourself a medal. My response to you is, what selfless thing have you done that affected almost 4 million people last year? Post it here, send me a link, right? And I will post it on every single channel that I have. Send me a link of the selfless thing that you did. I'm not even going to make it go up to, why don't you send me a link of a selfless thing that you did that affected 100,000 people, that you did, you specifically. Not an organization you joined, nothing. Just a call to do good in the world that you initiated yourself out of your own pocket. Send me that. And if you don't send me that, then please send me my medal. Next guy, without a single piece of evidence to support, gotta be a freaking record for sure. Okay, so let me give you my response, sir, right? So if the Bible says Adam and Eve were the first people on earth, if it says that written somewhere in the Bible, and you go on Biblewise.org and you type in who were the first people on earth according to the Bible, and Biblewise responds to you, according to the Bible, the first people on earth were Adam and Eve. Here are the passages. If that happens, that satisfies the requirements you have here of evidence to support the answers. The question is answered in the Bible. The question that the person is asking, that they want to know about the Bible, the answer is in the Bible. That is the evidence of it. Not much more to say to that than that. The next guy just has a post, please, no explanations inside the church. That one got 4 laughs. That's actually a good, I find that to be hilarious. So that's a good one. And I agree with you, but that is the point, right? I agree with you on that post, but that is the point, sir. The point is that there needs to be explanations inside the church. The point is that there needs to be a rational basis even to irrational beliefs. There have to be rules. People can't just make up rules as they go along and cite a book as the rational basis, but they just pick and choose, cherry pick on what they want to, how to put together a sentence to make it make sense and say all kinds of crazy things, right? That's the whole point. And that's what you're missing. Then the next guy says, can you tell us how Jesus Christ ascended to heaven when even light energy has a speed limit? So let's first start by this. When you make a statement like that, you don't understand science. And it's just the bottom line. When you make a statement like that, you don't understand science. Because what you're doing is you're basically replacing one dogmatic belief with another dogmatic belief. The only dogma in science is observation. So you're putting out here some statement on the speed of light, but that statement on the speed of light is a false statement. That's not true. That's only what we understand as of today. That's not a given. Where we are observing the speed of light on Earth. That's what we're observing, the speed of light. Everything we're doing is on Earth. The laws of physics do not have to be the same everywhere in the universe. That's just reality. And that's my very point. The people who say things like that are making religious statements because from a scientific perspective, there is no way to prove that. And if you cannot prove something, you cannot state it as fact. That is science. Everything you look at is relative to us. Time is relative to the individual. If you're up in space, those GPS satellites in space, they don't record the same time as what's down here. What is your frame of reference for making a statement like, how can you go to ascend to heaven when even light energy has a speed limit? Light energy has a speed limit. You're making a religious statement. Bam, number one. What is the basis of that statement? That what, a scientist told you that? You don't know that. Did you measure that yourself? Did you go to another galaxy and measure it? Did you go near a black hole and measure it? What are you basing that on? What do you base it on in a universe where where basically all physics seems to be relative to something else, and where we're discovering new things every single day? Back in the day, they used to think that time dilation was caused by something called the ether. They used to think that there was magic stuff in the air, all around us, that created the time dilation. And then a guy came around and said, no, it's relativity. Time is relative. That's what's creating, blah, blah, blah. And 100 years from now, somebody's going to say, no, this, that, and the other thing. Oh, no, speed of light doesn't work this way, blah, blah, blah. What are you talking about? So your statement is asserting that heaven is a location somewhere that he's going. What, heaven is over there next to Jupiter? Like, what are you talking about? Why would the speed of light apply to any conventional understanding of what heaven is? Religious people don't think that their spirit is part of the physical world. So anytime you want to get on a phone call, I could school you because you need to learn. You don't know. Next guy. Delusional is no way to get through life. All gods, in small letter G and in quotes, are man-made BS. Virgins don't have babies. Grow up. And I guess you forgot about slavery and rape in your BS Bible, right? So this is yet another individual that's simply triggered by the word Bible. And here's what I have to say to you, sir, right? So it's very simple. How does any of what you just said relate to the mission statement and purpose of the platform? Where in any of the material that you looked at did I say that I agree with everything in the Bible, and did I say that you should agree with everything in the Bible? Where does it say that? Please show me where that statement is made. Did I say that you should agree with everything in the Bible and that I agree with everything in the Bible? Or did I say, hey, here's a tool that you can use to look at the Bible to ensure that if someone tells you something about the Bible, then you can go and look it up yourself? Quick question. Did you look up the statement? Did you look it up? Did you look up the women being statement? Did you look it up? How about you look it up and send me what passages it says that? I'm curious to hear that. Where does it actually say that? Did you actually read that in the Bible? Have you actually ever read it in the Bible? Or did somebody tell you that that was in the Bible and that's all you needed to hear? Have you ever read the Bible? Imagine if there's a movie out there, The Avengers, and people don't watch The Avengers. They only listen to people tell them what was in the actual movie. They only listen to what people say, like what they overhear about people, or what people are saying about the movie. And they only make their own decisions about that movie based on what they've overheard, what somebody's telling them, but they never actually watch the movie when the movie's right there to watch. Would you call that individual an intelligent person? Would you consider the opinions of such an individual to be credible? Challenge yourself to the truth. Gain your own personal understanding of all things. Your own personal understanding so that you can speak to things in a way that is personal to you. And once you do that, then you can decide what you like, dislike, hate, don't hate, whatever. Then you can decide that. But you can't do that when half of your beliefs are based on other people's beliefs that they're just projecting onto you. Then you're no different than the AI that's reading Biblewise. You're just a bot. Next guy, there is no way to sugarcoat it. Religion is dangerously stupid and useless. This is a meme that he puts out there. It shows a guy praying, and he has a cross sticking out of the back of his head, and there's a religious-looking person standing with a hammer, implying that they're nailing the cross into the back of their head, basically giving them brain damage, right? I don't necessarily have a problem with this because this is a commentary, right? That's fine. This is just a general commentary. Obviously, when you talk about the Bible, you're talking about religion. So, I think it's fair game for a person to make a commentary and say, hey, I don't even want to I don't even want to get involved in anything that is somehow foundationally based on religion. I do agree with you that religion is dangerous. Next person, on what day in Genesis did God hide the fossils? On what day in Genesis did God hide the fossils? What I would recommend you to do is to go on Biblewise and type that in and see what answers it says. Because the answer would likely be, it doesn't say anywhere that fossils are hidden in the Bible. I don't know where in the Bible it says that those things aren't there. I don't know where in the Bible it says that there weren't animals that existed on Earth and that there isn't evolution or anything like that. It doesn't say anything like that in the Bible, right? Just because everything is not listed in the Bible doesn't list ants. It doesn't list parakeets, right? It doesn't list kangaroos. It doesn't say it anywhere in the Bible, right? It doesn't mean that. It says that all things were created. God created all things, right? So I'm not sure that this, it's a weak argument, or it's a weak argument you're trying to make in a slick way. It's garbage. You got nothing. Next person says, disclaimer, Biblewise has answered 3.7 million questions, but makes no warranty as to the correctness of any of the answers. It is easy to answer a lot of questions when every question is answered with, God did it. So I don't like to use this word, but here's an example of a fundamentally stupid person. And I only say that you're a stupid person, sir or ma'am or whoever you are, because you're trying to be clever, but you're only exposing your own ignorance. You're only exposing how asinine your line of thinking is. Every answer on Biblewise is not God did it. That's the first thing. So if you claim yourself to be a rational thinker, you're not. Your own post proves that you're not a rational thinker. You're not a person who would be called to speak on anything, regarding anything. You're gonna start coming there with like assumptions. You're not gonna do your research. You haven't done your research. How can I take you seriously? Right? So your comment is, quite frankly, as asinine as the nature of your gripe, right? We don't answer questions about God. We use an AI to read the Bible. And if you have questions about some things that are in the Bible, it answers your questions about things that are in the Bible. That's what Biblewise does. If I felt like I had to comment on something someone had to say, I would go and do the research first of all. I'd go and find out about the thing that I'm commenting on. All you have to do is click a link. All you have to do is go to biblewise.org and go and look at it, see the mission statement, see everything, and then based on that, make a determination whether or not this is something that you want to do or don't want to do. Find out, oh, it says this wrong. Oh, I don't agree with this. Oh, I don't agree with that. Then you have a basis to post something like this. So this guy who made this post, his background picture on his Facebook page is the picture of an ape turning into a man. And in the last picture, there's a bin, and he's throwing these religious symbols into it. He's got the Star of David. He's got a cross, and he's got the moon and star for Islam, and he's throwing it into the trash. How ironic is it that the image that you're using of an ape turning into a man has a fundamental component of it that's based on faith? Isn't that just hilarious? Because you know what is not going to be in that picture? You know what doesn't exist in that picture? Maybe that third thing in your image. That third thing in your image is the missing link. And it's missing for a reason. It's supposed to be there. We have faith that it's there. And some of these other ape creatures that are in this thing, these precursors to humanity, Lucy and all these things. Have you ever gone and researched where all the bones that make up Lucy come from? Have you ever gone and looked that up? And again, this is all about objectivity, right? So if you're going to look at religion and you're going to call it this silly faith-based things where it's all magic and it's all gobbly-gook, right? Then maybe you should be asking yourself how the guys who make batteries and make spaceship and deal with the physical sciences and things like that, how did they come up with like 3 billion years ago that there was nothing and there was and there's everything just came into existence in 1 second? Have you ever listened to that story, sir? Have you ever listened to that story that you're believing? Right? The opposite of the God story, right? Because God creating things is so fantastic. I agree with you. It's a very fantastic story. It doesn't seem realistic. But guess what also doesn't seem realistic? The Big Bang. Okay? Guess what also doesn't seem realistic? The idea that physics is exactly the same every single place in the universe. That is just somebody saying that. That is not something that means anything, not particularly when the beliefs that people have from a science perspective change all the time. Just like in religion, they have this sort of statement to self-propagate it. Hey, you have to believe. If you don't believe, if you doubt God or you question anything, then you're going to hell. In science, it's the opposite. In science, it's, there's a scientific method. Even when we're wrong, the method is right. So I could tell you that up is down and down is up, and tomorrow I could tell you that down is up and up is down, and the next day I could tell you that there is no up and down. It's all science. I could tell you anything. I could change my mind all the time. It's like the weatherman telling you, hey, tomorrow there's a 50% chance of rain. There's a 50% chance of anything in the world, anything you can imagine happening. Next person, I read your answers and know you are not even close to his reality. And the his is in capital H-I-S. I'm lost. The answers that are in Biblewise are answers that come from the Bible. There are no interpretations in Biblewise. So you're going to have to give me an example of where it's wrong. I would like a citation. Don't just put out here that it's wrong. Give me a citation. Where is it wrong? I mean, if we find where it's wrong, we can fix it. If you have a concern, we can resolve it. Maybe our AI has come to life and decided that our AI has decided it wants to be an aspirational preacher. Who knows? Maybe that's what's going on. But right now, I could tell you that when I programmed it to read the text of the Bible and respond to questions based on what's in the Bible. That's it. It's reading the text of the Bible for you. And by the way, in Biblewise, you can also just do a search on the Bible. So you don't have to use the AI. You can also it's just an easy way for you to also read the Bible yourself. You can just do searches using a language that we've created that allows you to easily search for text and find text. So if you're looking for individual text and the relationship between text, just text, right, with no context associated with it, you can do it there. Next one, easy when you just use lies, LOL. Where have I used lies? Again, I mean, I don't understand. I'm like, there must be a fundamental lack of critical thinking going on in the world right now, at least in social media. Like, what if the Bible, whether the Bible is full of lies or not, has no bearing on whether or not an answer is correct or not. Do you understand that, sir? Do you understand that if the Bible is full of lies and I write a search engine that can search the Bible using natural language to find things in the Bible, if it accurately finds things in the Bible, then what's the problem? Yeah, I mean, you could have said the Bible is trash or the Bible is full of lies, and then I guess it makes sense. You don't believe the Bible is. You don't believe that I have a basis. You don't believe this tool has any meaningful basis because the foundation that's being used is false from your perspective. That is a fair statement, but again, if that is true, then why are you so bothered? Then keep it moving. There are people who, on the flip side, who believe that it's not true and who have some value from it. There's people out there that think our Constitution is trash. There's people out there that think that women should be walking around covering their face that live in our country, right? They believe it's trash. So does that mean that we should throw the Constitution out because people who don't believe our beliefs think it's stupid? What kind of sense are you making, bro? Like, you're making no sense. Next one, cult questions require cult answers. Yeah, you're correct. Cult questions would likely require cult answers, and if you believe that what's in the Bible is well, yes, what is in the Bible is cultish. I won't deny that. So yes, these are cult answers. You are correct, sir. Next one, answered in accordance with a fictional book. Ridiculous. Okay, this is a perfect response. This is a perfect response because this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is a person who thinks critically. This is a person who has brains between their ears and knows what's actually going on. I could already tell this person knows what's going on. And you can see clearly this is what some of these other, individuals should have done. At the end of the day, the bottom line is that if the underlying work is fictitious, if you don't believe the underlying work, then this is not a tool for you. Absolutely agree. And then you have a right to comment because what you're saying in this case is, hey, I got you. You answer questions, but I don't believe in what's in that book. So I don't care about your answers. Then I got nothing for you. Then don't use Biblewise, right? Don't use it, right? Because it doesn't concern you. It does not concern you. But my question to you, sir, is what did you hope to accomplish by posting this? I'm just curious and I want to know. Matter of fact, I'm gonna respond to you. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not even gonna add more to it. I'm just gonna say, yeah, good question. But I'm legitimately curious to know what you hope to accomplish, by commenting on it. Like, you felt like you had to comment, and your comment is just that yes, the Bible is ridiculous and all that stuff. But already know the Bible is ridiculous. You yourself already know the Bible is ridiculous. And I'm sure you also would already know that people who have religious convictions are not swayed by rational arguments, right? I'm sure you would already know that as well. So if you are a rational thinker and a critical thinker, my question is, why would you even waste your time? That's all. That's really all I have to ask. Why would you even waste your time? That's really all I want to know. Next person. Be careful of false advertisement and false teachings. Beware of worshiping idols. Don't get scammed. Okay, I'm going to use this guy's name. I'm not going to use his full name, but I'm going to use his first name. So Ronald. I'm talking to you, Ronald. Like, who are you saying is where's the false advertisement and who is the false teacher? Where are you witnessing teaching on Biblewise? Where have you witnessed any teaching? My first name is Edward. My last name is Momeka. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I have books that I've written on Amazon. I'm in the world as myself. You can go on Google today and you could Google my name and you could see what you need to see about me, except for my address, of course. But you could see what I've done in this world. Did you see me? Do you have a link where I was preaching to people, or where I was asking people for money or whatever? Do you see anywhere on the Biblewise.org site where I ask people for money? Did I ask you for money? Did I ask anyone for anything? Do you see any ads on the Biblewise website? You can go to every other website related to the Bible, and it's going to be flooded with ads, little pop-up things all over the place, memberships, all kinds of stuff like that. Do you see anything on Biblewise that requires you to put your personal information, sign into anything, log in for any reason, anything, selling anything to you, asking for anything, or a statement that tells you, disclaimer, that we're going to be doing that at some point in the future? Actually, there's a statement in there that says that Biblewise is going to be free from now until the end of time. So how dare you, Ronald, be warning people off of me like as if I'm some kind of charlatan out there telling people this, that, and the other thing? What is the basis of such a statement? So Ronald, I hope you understand that in this country called America, there is such a thing as slander and libel. I hope you understand that, Ronald. Next person says, nonsense. Religion is an outdated coping mechanism. It is an addiction just like any other. You are avoiding reality and whitewashing over issues instead of dealing with them. This is why science-based addiction recovery programs are 5 times more effective than faith-based programs. Faith is still using the placebo effect. It is easy to see the damage done by other religions for their own people. Example are the Taliban, the Saudis when they locked a bunch of girls inside a dorm that was on fire because their heads were uncovered, or simply look at the people who escaped from the FLDS, Christian Science, Jehovah's Witness. It is almost impossible for you to accept that your beliefs hurt others, but they do. The substance abuse and death rates among the LGBT community is considerably higher than the heterosexual. Wow, we're on this now? What? What? I gotta read this one again. The substance abuse and death rates among the LGBT community is considerably higher than the heterosexual. The toxic environment created by religion is why. Women's rights. I guess that's the next one. Ask yourself why it took women so long to vote, own property, or even today have parity of pay. Now go read your Bible. Look up the COVID death rate among Republican Christians compared with Democratic. Notice the difference. Christians actually protested against vaccine on the grounds that if you were sick, it had to be God's will. In other words, ignorance. Religion requires an ignorance of science and history to survive. That doctrine forces a form of mental retardation, very bad word, sir, on our children. Anytime they accept a supernatural reason for something happening, they stop thinking about what really happened. Science has doubled our life expectancy in the last 200 years, not religion. Okay. Very, 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 very good. Very, very good comment, sir. And I'd love to talk to you about it. So I agree with you. I'm going to start by saying that. I agree with you. I agree with everything you're saying. Well, a lot of what you're saying. Some of it I don't know. I don't know what their bearing is. I don't know what the LGBTQ verse, and I don't know what sexuality has to do with this. So I'm going to take that and put that to the side. And I'm going to ignore it. But in general, you're saying that religion creates a toxic environment and all these things, and I absolutely agree with you. Now, your solution to the problem that we both agree on is that we abolish religion. Do you want the police? Do you want to line up the police and have stormtroopers kicking down churches and burning them down? Maybe burning every Bible that's in sight? They tried that a couple of places. Can't quite remember where. I think you might know. So the problem is that your answer is not analytical. And within your comments to me, you actually go against yourself, because you actually talk about what the fundamental issue with religion is. You actually mention it here. And the fundamental issue with religion is ignorance. The fundamental issue with religion is ignorance. Where does that ignorance come from? That ignorance comes from the fact that these religious people don't even look at and inspect the religious texts that are the basis of some of the decisions that they're making. They just listen to their clerics. They just take the information from their clerics. And once again, as I stated previously, even within Christendom, this happened. The Protestant Reformation came out of the printing press being created and came out of ignorance being quashed. Once people could actually read the Bible, that's what created this new world that you're talking about. This whole new world, this brave new world that we live in, was started when the printing press was invented, and they started printing Bibles so people can read for themselves. Before that, people just listened to whatever the cleric said, because no one had access to the books. It was not available. And even if they got the books, it was not in their language. So if only there was a way that we could supplant the interpretations given by clerics on the religious text, especially when they're irresponsible, and empower religious people to be able to come to their own conclusions on things. If only that existed. Wait a minute. That's what Biblewise.org is. That's the whole point. The whole point is that you go and research it yourself. And because it is difficult to research these things themselves, people sit in ignorance and darkness, and they rely on the preacher who has a PhD in religion and who's read this book and that book and done this and done that, right? That's the issue. Now you don't have to do that, because you have a technology. We have the technology now, just like the printing press. We have the technology that can go and read all this stuff, surmise it, summarize it, and bring it to anyone, any layperson, the straight facts, that are in the actual books. And then let the chips fall where they may. Because I'm telling you right now, it's not the Bible that's telling people not to take the COVID vaccine. It is not the Bible that is telling people not to take the COVID vaccine. It is an interpretation that a cleric has given to what is in the Bible that is telling people not to take the COVID vaccine. 90% of Catholicism is interpretation, if not 100%. 90% of what people believe about religion, the religions themselves that formed out of the Bible, the whole structure of the religion is inherently an interpretation of the Bible. We need to get back to the actual book and what's in the book, because something has been lost there. The knowledge of the book has been lost. And because the knowledge of the book has been lost, religious people, people who have that faith and belief, are falling for the okie doke of whoever tells them this, that, and the other thing. Whoever sounds the most eloquent about what they're saying wins. Whoever can say the words and be as charismatic rules the day. And now you end up with all these aspirational preachers flying around in jets all over the country, living these lavish lives while their parishioners are paying for it. And they are referencing the book as a rationale for that. Now, if you look at the book, the person who started the religion that we're all doing, that all these people are following, that person lived a simple life. That person was a carpenter. That person lived a modest life. He was not riding the best donkeys or have gold all over him. He was not a rich person. And as a matter of fact, if you read the book itself, he was vehemently against the commercialization of religion. So that's the point that I'm trying to make to you, and I'll say your first name as well. That's the point I'm trying to make to you, David. You're not wrong in what you're saying, but you don't actually have any answers. What you're doing is you're howling at the moon. You're just saying, oh, religion is bad. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, and you're just listing all kinds of horrible things. And I agree with you. There's horrible side effects to the dogmatic nature of religion that's driven by just sheer ignorance on the text and what's going on in the text. It's a very dangerous cocktail. I agree with you. But the problem is that I read your whole text, and all you've done is rail against the machine, but you haven't provided any solutions. What's your solution? You've said ignorance 20 times in this thing. You said, and I exaggerate. You said ignorance over and over and over again. So you've listed ignorance as an issue. Well, my product solves the ignorance, or at least attempts to solve the ignorance. What is your solution? What's the alternative? The religious people are going to be religious. They believe that. What's the alternative? You're going to round them all up and throw them in jail? You're going to criminalize religion? You think that's going to work? How about you throw them into coliseums and feed them to the lions? The last gigantic empire tried that, and here we are today. Think through what you're saying, and you'll find that this is the best alternative. Even if you want to quash religion, the best way to quash religion is by educating people on the religion. That's the way forward. You have to actually empower people such that they understand what's going on. You have to kick off their rational thinking in their head. The religious structures themselves, the whole entire practice is to shut that rational component down. So when you're yelling, oh, they're this, they're that, you're not getting anywhere. You're not getting anywhere. You can't communicate with a religious person by talking about science and talking about things. And you can't communicate with a religious person by making fun of them. We got to start somewhere, sir. Next person. How could 3.7 million questions have to be asked if the Bible is infallible? All right. So what is this gentleman doing? This gentleman, and I'll say your first name, sir, because I'm talking to you. This gentleman, Daryl, is conflating religion and the Bible. I say that to say that there is a distinction, a fundamental distinction between a document, a book, the Bible, and how it's interpreted and what those interpretations mean. So when you come to me with a statement like this, come to me about the Bible, because the subject we're discussing is the Bible. Don't come to me about religion, because even in this statement, you're speaking about certain sects of Christianity. That's what you're speaking about. You're not speaking about all Christianity. Muslims also recognize the Bible. There is a Jewish Bible. There are Christians who think that they can pick up snakes and hold snakes. If you're a Catholic, you believe that when the apostles were speaking in tongues, when they were speaking out, what was happening is that they were speaking in their language, but everybody that was there was hearing their own language. If you ask like a Southern Baptist or a Pentecostal, they believe that there's some language, they'll be speaking it. Some people can speak it and some people can understand it and some people can speak and understand it. But when you listen to it, what you hear is just gibberish coming out of their mouths. We're both Christians, but we have completely different beliefs as it relates to speaking in tongues. And, my response to you, sir, is it's a great question, but here's another one for you. Why do over 1 billion people referencing the same book have so many different views on this individual? Your statement is based on a false understanding of what's going on. You're not educated enough on the Bible to even begin to think critically about it. You're just not. What you need to do before you criticize it, before you criticize all this stuff, what you need to do is first understand it. There's so many people in this world that don't understand things and criticize them one way or the other. Okay. So next person. Okay, so here's this guy. He says, I do thank you for the addition of another oxymoron I can add to my growing list, Biblewise. What can I say to you, Mr. John? Maybe look up the definition of an oxymoron and understand the way words work. So if someone were Bible-wise, then they would be wise at the Bible. If the Bible is a work and is just generally used as a work, there's universities where people who are atheists study the Bible. So a person who understands the Bible to a very, very deep level, you could say is Bible-wise. That's one use of the word. Another use of the word is when you apply wise to something, it means as it applies to. So if you call something Bible-wise, then you're saying that it's something that is of or relating to the Bible. Where is the oxymoron there? Again, some of you individuals try to be clever, but you actually have to be clever to be clever. You actually have to be smart to be clever. You actually have to be well-read to be clever. So don't, as they say, play yourself. Stop playing yourself. If you don't have the intellect, don't try to be smart. Just leave a nasty comment and keep it moving. And I would leave you alone, but you're trying to be a smarty pants, but you're not even smart. You don't even understand the way words work. Right? So I got some homework for you, is go and look up the meaning of oxymoron and then go and look up what I said. Go and look up what it means when you put wise after a word. Like if you say likewise, right? When people, the common colloquialism, anything wise, right? Go and look up what that means and understand the use of words, and then maybe we can talk. From the level of intellect displayed in this comment, I don't think we're going to have much to talk about. So a great one here is a gentleman by the name of Mike, who says, who sends a meme that says, "No one cares." In the old, remember the old Fox logo that would show at the beginning of a movie with all the big searchlights, right? If you're old enough to remember that. So he has one of those, and the words there are "No one cares," and this is of course in response to the 3.7 million people. And so I would retort, sir, that no, in fact, 3.7 million people care, sir. But yeah, 3.7 million care, Mike. Next one is also a meme. It's some weird looking alien, sort of funny looking thing floating over the planet. And it says, "Why not believe just in case? Question mark. What have you got to lose?" So I have no response to that. Yeah, you're making a statement about the belief of religion and all those kinds of things, but that's not what we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to create a space where people can draw intelligent conclusions based on actual facts related to the actual document and use that to inform their faith. Right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to stop religious zealotry. Next person is another meme. "When a man sells his daughter as a he shall be put to death, for he has committed an abomination." When a man sells his daughter as a he will she will not be freed at the end of 6 years, as the men are. If she does not please the man who bought her, he may allow her to be bought back again. This is in Exodus. I don't know how this relates to what we're trying to do. I don't think it does, quite frankly. And as I stated before, when I used the example of the Constitution, just because a document has bad things or has been used to represent bad things or has been interpreted in a way that allows for people to be subjugated in one form or another, does not mean that that you throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? There are aspects to most things that are good, and there are aspects that are bad. That's just the numbers. And of course, this document was written at a time when some of those things were accepted, right? So you're making what's called an anachronistic argument. You're using the morality of today to judge things that happened in a different time. People during the age that they're in, they may say certain things and do something and have certain sensibilities and things that they believe that might be insane to you in this day and age. And on and on and on. I mean, is this not a country where they had zoos that had black people in it? Is this not a place where that happened? Is this not a place where they were selling slaves and brutalizing women? Was there not a constitution in this country? Right? Is it not the same constitution that still exists today? Did they throw that constitution out and bring a new one? No, they made amendments to it to adjust for the times. And the same thing applies. So your argument is you don't have an argument. You're not saying anything. You're just howling at the moon. Next person, Kelly says, "How did the Ten Commandments end up in the Egyptian Book of the Dead 700 years before Moses received them?" If I were to tell you, without you ever reading the Bible, that one of the Ten Commandments is, "Thou shalt give me all your money," if that was what I said to you, how would you counteract that? How would you stop that? Let's say you're a religious person, I say that to you. Or you're not, and you're having a religious debate with me. You're having a religious debate with me, and I'm some kind of aspirational preacher. And you're like, you're taking the money of your parishioners and whatever. And I tell you, well, in the Ten Commandments, it says, "Thou shalt give 10% of your wages to thy preacher." Whether or not the Ten Commandments came from the Egyptian Book of the Dead 700 years earlier, would that help you in your argument against me? I don't think so. You know what would help you in your argument against me? Biblewise.org. Because you would go there and you type in, does the Ten Commandments say that you have to give your preacher 10% of your net worth. And it would say, no, according to the Bible, the 10 commandments does not say that you should give 10% of your earnings to your preacher. The 10 commandments says this, and it'll list the 10 commandments. Then after it lists the 10 commandments, it would then say, here's the passages in the Bible where the 10 commandments are discussed. The point is, educate yourself. That's the point. The point is a tool for educating oneself. It's not a debate. I'm not having a debate with you about whether the Bible is this or the Bible is that, or religion is this or religion is that, or God is this or God is that. You want to have that conversation. If you want to have that conversation, let me know. I can invite you on my podcast and we can go back and forth. Right? And we can have a good discussion. You can learn some things and I can learn some things if you have things to teach me. But coming out here with all this, kindergarten arguments, you're not convincing anybody of anything. You haven't done your research. You're over here looking at the Egyptian Book of the Dead. You seem to be a person who is well-read. If you're a person that's well-read, then do some reading before you talk. My father always told me, God rest his soul, speak once and listen twice. So educate yourself, sir. Educate yourself, Kelly. All right? Those have been my responses to a lot of the comments that I got related to my post on how well Biblewise.org had done up to that point. It's all love. We're still doing what we're going to do, and we're not going to stop doing it. And hopefully we are going to be able to change minds and change opinions and lead a new age of rational thinking within religious circles. My statement to you guys, sending the insults, doing all that stuff, is what is your way? How would you sort of solve the problem of religion? If you don't want religion in this world, you consider religion to be a problem, how would you solve it? What's your solution for it? So until then, for those who are critical thinkers, have a great day and keep your thinking caps on.